Hi, this is Qasabian. I'm the director of Arpa International Film Festival, and I would like to welcome you to our virtual festival this year. The festival was created by this amazing woman, Sylvia Minassian, and she created this just to give an opportunity, a platform for the filmmakers in the independent film industry. And 2 years ago, we started a panel discussion with women in filmmaking, and we had 5 women with a moderator, Pat Saperstein from Variety. Today, 3 of those women are with us to have a reunion with our new moderator, Natalie Qasabian, who was Natalie was the recipient of the Arpa's 2018 Rising Star Award, and she has produced many films, and the latest one is Run, and I would like her to tell you a little bit afterwards because it is the hottest thing around right now. And but first I want to introduce you the panel members. Today we have Kelli McNeil, and Kelli is from Los Angeles. Is based in Los Angeles. She's a writer, actor, voiceover artist, and a producer. And then we have Micky Levy, who actually she was born and raised in Israel, and then came to Los Angeles when she was 15 with just $700 to her name. And in her new home, she was able to go to UCLA and get her degree. And then I'll let her tell you a little bit more about herself. But mainly, she has many, many awards to her name. And then the last but not least, we have Michelle Alexandria. And Michelle is actually was very instrumental in helping me put this panel together 2 years ago. And she has been keeping in contact with a lot of the members, and I will let her say a few words about that later on as well. Michelle is also went to UCLA, and she is actually working for Glasshouse Distribution, and she has helped me tremendously this last year as well, putting the festival together. So with that, I'm going to have you guys take over, Natalie.
Perfect. Thank you, Maral. I'm just so excited to be here. Thank you, Maral, for asking me to moderate. And Michelle, Kelli, and Micky, it's so nice to meet you ladies. I got to see some of your panel from last year, which was really, really great. And so nice to see a panel of all female filmmakers. It's just, you know, it's rare to see that. So hats off to Arpa. And yeah, you know, I'm really excited to talk to you guys. You're such a talented group of women that write and act and produce and distribute films. And, you know, last time on the panel discussion, it was a lot about navigating the industry as a woman, right? And that's tough in and of itself, you know? And I think you all spoke to that really, really well last time. And just when we thought that, you know, things couldn't be even more challenging in this industry, 2020 rolled around, and boy, has that been a curveball. And so I really want to dig in today, you know, a little bit about adapting in the times of COVID, and really picking up with you guys on where you left off the last time you guys had a discussion with Arpa. And I don't mean to be all doom and gloom, you know, we've seen in the restaurant industry, I think is a really good example of how companies and industries are adapting to COVID. And so I want to hear about what you guys, just to kick it off, what you guys were working on right before the lockdown kind of hit, and how the lockdown impacted that project, you know, initially in those first couple of months. Whoever wants to jump in first, go for it. Sure, yeah, Michelle.
Sorry, I just hit the mute button. First, I wanted to just give a little information about myself, so that way the audience can connect and relate to what fields of work we each do, and then, you know, it can apply to them as it may. And excuse me, I do have my little boy in the background watching cartoons because there's no school. Schools are closed. I think parts of the country, schools are open. However, in Los Angeles, the schools are still online. And so just in referencing, you know, the woman part of it, being the mom and having a 6-year-old, everything that I'm doing this while I am also sitting with my son Monday through Friday from 9 to 3 online, and it's now 8 months. It's now over 240 days. I'm actually counting the minutes, but we won't go there. And so my work day doesn't start until 3 p.m. and that has avalanched into a lot of difficulties. But just to give you my background, before COVID, before I became a school teacher, I am a film producer. I've produced several films, TV series, documentaries, and such. And I've had a lot of success with that. I work primarily with investors. And so I help, put the budgets together and get the team together. And then I let them do the creative part. So I don't get too involved in the creative, except for the part of genre and the type of film, because because I work in film distribution, which is, what is my, big Monday through Friday day-to-day work. I'm very connected with the buyers, the platforms, to know what's in demand, what's going on. And that helps on the production side to know what films to make. If right now, films about illnesses are not in, then if a filmmaker comes to me with that type of script, I'm going to say, maybe hold off on that one, and let's seek out what other projects you have. So it does go hand in hand, the distribution and the production. And I've been doing this for about 15 years. I've been going to all the major film markets. In the background here, I have the Cannes Film Festival, which is the first time we're missing it for me in 16 or 17 years, something like that. And so, we're missing AFM, which is coming up. That's a big thing we can talk about if filmmakers are interested in. But these are the major film markets where we take these indie films that are presented at Arpa and other wonderful film festivals, and we sell them there. And then that's how those budgets are recouped. That's how the projects are seen. And so this has been quite a challenge. And just like the restaurants you were mentioning, Natalie, we've adjusted, we've accommodated in the sense of, for example, the Cannes Film Festival, that was the biggest one. We had to go and do the film festival online. Now that makes it a little tough for filmmakers because as a distributor, I already have my master list of buyers. So before that window of the virtual Cannes, I'm contacting 1,000 of our buyers saying, let's set up an appointment from this time to this time. And so I was able to still present content. And then they were still able to buy films. Fortunately for the indie world, COVID has been somewhat of an advantage for films that were nearly completed, because now there's this whole vacuum of space needed to be fulfilled by content. There's no theaters. So, when people talk about, oh, I want my film in theatrical, well, no, now you're up against big, huge budgets, because those films can't be theatrical either. They're going to be online. So the platforms have expanded, more platforms have been created. And so, and I'm talking from Disney Plus to, small little platforms that might just be for a certain genre, like Shudder, for example. And so that has actually been advantageous. So Cannes virtual, we had Toronto virtual, we had Hong Kong, we did virtually, and we've been doing really great. I mean, really, really great. Now, does that mean, and we've saved hundreds of thousands of dollars, because it does cost us a lot to go to these markets. Now, does that mean this is the new normal? Absolutely not. One thing I have definitely felt, that confirmation of what I've always felt, is we do need human contact. This is great. We're all online, but all these listeners right now that you're out there, I'm sure you would be happier to be in Cannes or at AFM and, meet me in my office and be able to present, something hard on paper to me and saying, oh, Michelle, this is what we have. Can you participate? They don't really have a way into me right now, because unless I plan out a Zoom, which I'm not, because I'm a school teacher from 9 to 3. So now I've lost 30 hours a week of my work life. I'm not able to give that time. However, we're still adjusting, people still find their ways to get through. I don't think this is permanent, but I do feel that this has been a great little window for indie filmmakers to find their way out of it. And now on taking off my distribution hat, putting my producer hat on, I have been able to okay,
and I do, Michelle, I want to come back to, you bring up a really interesting point that I want to come back to once Micky and Kelli chime in about the benefits, right? And what are, in what ways can filmmakers, like you mentioned for indie filmmakers, if your film is finished, there's certain advantages. I think that's a really compelling point. I want to come back to that and have you expand on that too. But
yeah.
Micky or Kelli, do you guys want to jump in?
Yeah, speaking of advantages, I mean, for me, I write from home. And so not having to go to meetings and have meetings all happen on Zoom, right. Not dealing with traffic this has been, writing wise, this has been such a productive, incredibly productive time for me. On the production side, I had a movie that was supposed to go into production in New York City in April, and that, of course, did not happen. So that was a bit of a bummer. They're recouping and they're reorganizing, and the budget of the film went up because of COVID. Mm-hmm. So now they're also not financed, and they were before, which is disappointing, but we'll see what happens. But it's been really exciting for me because of the extra time. I've been able to both, I'm pitching a new show for television. So I've been doing pitches on Zoom, using a deck, with the share screen, you can show the images of the pitch. So that's been fantastic. And I'm also pitching a miniseries that part of it is set in Brazil. And because everything is happening on Zoom, it's been really easy talking to the Brazil team. And of course, they're dealing with COVID there as well. And the whole, we're all working like production is going to resume, any day now, because that's how you have to operate. You have to assume that production is going to resume at some point. And taking this time to really work on the script and on the development side. And another thing for me that's been super exciting, I have another script that's a book adaptation that got a director early this year. And because the director, who's a very busy cinematographer and director, because she's been home, because there hasn't been production, again, she and I were really able to dig into the script and really flush it out moment by moment in a much more intensive way that I think had we been working against the clock and, if she was on set. So I think this is a terrible time, and my heart goes out to all the people that are suffering everywhere. But on the writing side and on the creative side, the blessing of COVID has really been to have more hours to write and to really dig into the script and the page. So
yeah, that's great. That's great. Thanks for sharing. And yeah, Kelli, for you, where were you at? Set the stage for us. Where were you at in March, and how did COVID?
Well, actually in March, I was on my honeymoon and we were afraid we weren't going to get back into the country. So,
well, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very hard because, the last 12 months have simultaneously been the best and the worst of my life at the same time. And that's been very challenging for me to grapple with. So when we left off in 2018, my husband and I were shooting a proof of concept for a feature that I had written that we were going to be fundraising for. We spent all of 2019 fundraising for it. We actually worked with Seed and Spark, and I saw that on your poster, Moral. I saw Emily Best, the founder of Seed and Spark. She was a great champion of our project. We got a lot of traction with it. We came very close to receiving a film grant, which then ended up going away because of COVID. We were all set to go into production this summer. But like Micky said, COVID ended up breaking our budget, and one of our funders pulled out. So we're struggling with what to do with the fallout of that, because we do have money raised, we have a great team, we have a great story, and I don't want to kill the script. I don't want to kill the project, because we got such great reception of it when we started, and it's just really tragic. And Michelle, I know you were saying that for films that were finished, or they're just about finished, like, yeah, this is great for indie films that have the content ready to go, because there's a glut, there's a vacuum, it's needed. But for projects like this that we're about 8 months out from starting, when all of this started to happen, it was really devastating. You top that off too, 2020 was supposed to be pretty much a bit of a banner year for me. I had a play going up off Broadway in November in New York.
Oh, wow.
And that's not happening. We took a TV show out this summer, and we were pitching it to a bunch of executives, and we did a ton of Zoom pitches, and that's hard. I mean, I can tell you, anybody that's been pitching on Zoom, it's not the same thing as the face-to-face contact. You don't build that rapport with people. You don't build that relationship. It's it's I actually got sent to a couple of the wrong Zoom meetings once by my reps. They sent me the wrong link. So that has its drawbacks as well, although not driving around on the traffic is great too, but you can get exhausted by it. But on the content side of it, I did find some solace in being able to work. I like to joke that I asked the universe for more time to write. I just didn't know that this is how it was going to respond. So I apologize. But I actually completed a novel. I actually wrote a 110,000 word novel that I'm currently editing. I was contracted to write a feature, so I did do a paid feature. I don't know if or when that's ever going to go into production, but I did get to write a feature script. And I've been working on some treatments for some other projects, with my team. How things are going to shake out in the next few months, I don't know. And it's hard sometimes to see that there's the light at the end of the tunnel at some point. It's hard. It's been such a hard year to deal with all of the grief and the loss, and figure out where you're going to come up. And it's also, like you said, Michelle, nobody wants to see a film about a sickness or a pandemic or anything like that. So for me, the balancing act has been to channel my energies creatively and put it into my writing, because that is literally the only thing I have control over right now. I can't control anything else. So if I have this block of time on my hands, I will try to work. I will try to get those ideas out of my head, even if it's just a treatment. So this year sucked, no doubt, but I'm hoping to make lemonade out of what I can.
It does suck, but I love that all three of you organically kind of went into the pros and saw that there is, illustrated the human resilience and the fact that, and I think especially as women, we're very accustomed to adapting. And it's a good segue, actually, Kelli, you brought up Michelle's point again about the indie films, and if you have a finished film, there's an advantage there. So I wanted to expand on that and ask Michelle, for filmmakers that maybe have something that is in the can, so to speak, so something that's finished, or not, or they have a pitch, but that kind of human to human interaction is gone from the ecosystem right now of Hollywood. Do you have, as someone who's on, the other side of the industry at the moment as a distributor, do you have any advice or suggestions for writers and producers that are trying to get their thing financed or picked up, in terms of COVID? Is there a way to position things better to get someone like yours attention, in this time where we can't have that face-to-face?
Yes, and because there's different levels of experience of audience members probably watching this. So, I'd like to speak to as much of them as I can. And so for those who might have more experience and know the steps to take in putting something together. So once we get the green light, we can all go. They usually know how to find someone like me. There's tools of IMDb Pro, Sonando, Stage 32, the film markets itself, paying for a quote unquote virtual badge for a film market, AFM, can. So a lot of filmmakers who have been around even just a little bit may be aware of these tools and know how to get to me. Some of the filmmakers that are watching right now, you guys may be starting off with your first script and you guys were just so close. This impact of COVID has hurt everybody in different levels in different ways. It's not like, oh, we all have the burden. No, we don't. A lot of us who had that one little chance to finally get out of a certain situation, we just lost that chance, and it's a lot harder to get out of. So, to give those people some hope, the fact that you're even here listening to this panel on ARPA is a first huge step. You're finding a way, you have some contacts now. The film festivals tend to give you little tools that can help you navigate of who to connect with and so on. And, it's as simple as just, if you don't write, we have two wonderful writers here. I know their work. If you don't write, but you want to produce or direct, what do you do? Well, there's, Inktip. There's, other tools you can get to, or in LA, for example, or now on Zoom, you can always find someone who has a script. Or a short film script or what have you. And, you can start putting that together and, the money will come. You start creating your tools to create the project. And there's a lot of steps that can be taken that don't cost money or cost very little money. I'm going to be doing a webinar class on Stage 32 soon, teaching this because I'm finding that a lot of filmmakers don't know what steps to take in an elementary stage to start creating that project, especially in this atmosphere. So one is getting a script or writing a script. Two is creating the pitch deck. Three, it's connecting with other people who might be interested. Right now, what I have been finding in the last 8 months is the availability of actors, of directors. We just signed on a fantastic, well-known director. I don't want to say who yet on our next action film. He's very well known, and he has a huge record of hits. And so to be able to have this conversation with the representation and get that attachment to better our project is a huge thing, which may not have been as possible for me 9 months ago. So there's all these opportunities that I'm just telling you guys, the filmmakers, take that time, since we're stuck at a computer, and I know it's starting to slowly open up, but right now we're not going to film markets, we're not going to film festivals. So use that time to find the tools online, because they're openly out there looking for you as well, to make those connections. And then when that gate opens, then it's, oh, Cannes Festival, can I make an appointment to meet you? And it's like, oh yeah, we talked on Zoom or we talked by email. Oh, great. And now everybody's going to be excited to get back in. We all, like I said, had different levels of loss with COVID. And to say on ours, we had about 4 films that were going into theaters. They were to be released in March and April. And, to get an MPAA rating costs a lot of money, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. And so, let's just say we had 4 of them, that was $20,000, boom, out the window, because we just paid for that literally weeks before. And now that film is not going into theaters. Now we have to release it on iTunes, Amazon, Hulu, and stuff, which, you didn't need to go through that expense. So, we all have a lot of our losses, and, films that were just right there to be made. Production just started. I mean, I feel for those people. And, a friend of mine, he's in Rome right now filming Mission Impossible, number 7. And, luckily that film has projected a gateway to allow more films to be made, because now we're finding all these ways to get around, getting back on set. And okay, with SAG, there is a certain COVID compliance. You have to add 30% to your budget. And now that's 30% more money that us filmmakers have to find, that again, it's not on screen. That's just money that we have to now find. That's not easy for our level of filmmakers. You know, I'm not James Cameron, and I doubt James Cameron is watching, but he can probably get $30,000 very easy on a $100,000 budget. So, you know, just letting the filmmakers know that taking this time, if you're not a writer, but if you're an actor, there's a lot of projects out there that are, you know, a lot of projects are going non-union. You know, that's like that's a new thing I'm seeing a lot of now. And because they want to go around that expense. And, you know, you can get yourself attached to more jobs if you're an actor. If you're a writer or a producer, right now is the time where you could sit. I mean, primarily my job is at a computer, so you could sit and put these things together. And now you have more people at computers, so they're a little bit more accessible. The tough part, you know, going back to being the woman, and there's a lot of dads out there in my situation, I'm sure, but the tough part is when you are a parent of an elementary school age child, which is, you know, 20 to 25% of us, and we work in the film industry. And so, you know, I'm not able to go anywhere or do anything. I am trapped here at this very same computer, like I said, 30 hours a week. And I did not have the bandwidth to add one more hour. Morel knows, just trying to meet with Morel. I did not have that window to add anything more to my plate. And now I've just lost 30 hours. And so for the parents out there that have to do, you know, the work with their school child, and you have to sit with them, your day starts at 3 p.m. like mine. That there's a lot of us right now that I take buyer calls at 1 a.m. So there's some of those advantages as well. And you'll find those advantages if you just play with it a little bit more. And, you know, and I will always say I'm always available. I may not respond quickly, but I'm accessible, you know, so people can contact and, you know, inquire about their projects with me. So
I love how optimistic you are. I mean, it's been the emotional, no, I'm serious. Like the emotional component has been very challenging to deal with, but the way that you talk about everything has got such a pragmatic approach to it. And I think that's such a great outlook on the way to just continue just one step forward. Like we'll eventually get past this. We will eventually get past it. There's a lot of rebuilding that we have to do. It's just navigating our way out of this. And I know your challenge is like with you know, the school and, you know, the, you know, kids and everything. Like it's gotta be just piling on. And the way that you're handling it, you know, at least from what I can tell, is really quite elegant. So hats off to you. Hats off to all the parents dealing with this, to be honest.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah.
Well said, Kelly. I couldn't agree more. And for you guys, Kelly and Micky, as you know, people who write and have that skill set, and maybe for the audience members that are on that side of the filmmaking, you know, coin, what have you guys found helpful? I mean, it's very hard right now. I find personally it's hard sometimes to just focus and buckle down because it's just the world is in, you know, it's in such a crazy state, and it's easy to get doom and gloom about things. But for you guys as writers, where your job is, you know, to sit at a laptop and really focus, is there anything that you guys can share in terms of what you've been doing to just help you kind of focus and tune out the noise? Maybe that's helpful for the writers listening.
I don't know what your situation is, Micky, but my husband is also a filmmaker. He's a cinematographer, and he's had the good fortune of been consistently working for the last 5 months. So I've literally been alone. I have been alone. So I've had these large...
That is not my situation at all. And I'm very jealous. I'll just say that.
Well, the loneliness is difficult as well. But I've had these large swaths of time that I know that I have to fill them. I have to fill them with something. And I started to sort of separate my projects out by what's the most viable, like what is going to be moving the most quickly. And I know that everything moves at a glacial pace anyways, but I knew that like getting the book out of my system, like when else was I going to have 4 months of like time to sit down and write a novel? So I sat down and I was like, I knocked it out. And I've been working with my team to prioritize other projects. And we looked at, you know, this slate of ideas that I had, and which of the ones were the most upbeat, which ones were the most, commercially, like some of them were rom-coms, which were maybe not be, in the market, hot on the market a couple of years ago, but now people are sort of turning their eyes to them, because the stuff that's being bought and sold now is the stuff that we're going to be reading and seeing, 2 years from now. So I think people are planning out, where's everybody's headspace going to be in the next 2 to 3 years. And that's kind of where I'm focusing my attention to see. Nobody's got a crystal ball, but that's how I'm prioritizing my projects.
That's amazing. And Micky, what about for you? Like, have you found it hard to focus in this time? And if so, any tools or tricks that you can share for maybe the writers out there that want to kind of learn how to focus and narrow their energy?
Sure, thank you. I'm a writer that needs a lot of space. I don't write in coffee shops. I write from home. And I was used to having the house to myself, but now my husband has been working out of the house for the last, since March. Luckily we have 2 levels. So he's upstairs, I'm downstairs. Yeah, I think what's been helping me is just taking care of myself. So taking a lot of walks and decompressing in between, crazy deadlines. I've literally worked writing-wise on 8 different projects. And I also have a book that I want to get out. And Kelli, hats off to you for finding those 4 months, because that is awesome. That's what I need to do. I haven't been able to do that yet, but I will. Yes, so I think taking care of yourself, whatever that means, we all take care of ourselves in different ways. I think this year it's been more important than ever, because it's not only, health-wise, but it's this bad energy that you sometimes feel, when you just go out your door and you see everyone wearing masks and you're like, what the hell happened to our world? It's like we're living in this post-apocalyptic scenario that just won't end.
You can't because it was.
Yes, exactly. So I think, and the other thing that's been so awesome was keeping in touch with friends through Zoom. Zoom happy hours rock. So just remaining part of a community while we're all so separate and alone. And so that's how I've been coping.
That's great. I think taking care of ourselves is paramount in this time. Absolutely. But back to, again, trying to find the positives in this. I think, there's been a lot of talk of what is the world going to look like, right, post-pandemic, and what are we going to take away from this? I'm curious from you guys, and maybe you can share from different perspectives, as producers, as writers, as distributors, as actors. What are some of the trends that you've seen or changes that you've seen in the industry because of this pandemic that you actually hope will stay and carry over even after there's a vaccine and even after the country opens back up? What is that thing that you'd like to see stay that feels like a positive to our industry as a whole?
Meryl, you introduced me as a voiceover artist, and I do that. That's where I do get a significant portion of my income. I've done so many more voiceovers this year because nobody's filming anything. Everybody's just doing animations. And they're filming stuff over photos. So I have to say that I hope that sticks around. I have a setup here at the house that I do, and it's been quite nice.
That's great.
Yeah, I think for me, I actually I'm enjoying the Zoom pitches, and I don't want to say that I want all my pitches to be Zoom pitches, but it would be really nice to have a choice, and when appropriate to actually continue with that. And also Zoom meetings, just general meetings, when you go in to meet a producer for the first time and you don't have a specific agenda, I think to get on Zoom and not have to worry about traffic and all that is really fabulous. It's such a time saver. And, you know, I used to be really hard on myself about going to screenings and networking events because they're such an important part of the business. And I've always pushed myself to do them. And what I've actually learned is that I don't need to do as many of them because now not having them and being able to focus on my work more and still meet people as they come through my, you know, workspace and the people that I'm working with has been much more productive. So I'm going to say when, you know, normal life resumes, I'm not going to be out there as much. I'm going to be more selective.
Saving the environment too, with less, you know, fumes. So
Exactly.
How about for you, Michelle? And anything you hope carries over post-pandemic?
Well, I can't say I never want to see a Zoom again. I don't want any computers again. I will not let my child be on an online class again until he's like 50. I feel the confirmation of what I've always felt is that we are social creatures and we grow and do well with interaction, and it's healthy and it's part of life. And there's only so much that we can accomplish for so long in this situation. It's kind of like it's a rainy day, so we're all going to stay in and we'll call each other. And yeah, you guys are all right. We're not driving in the traffic. We're not driving in the rain, less car accidents. You can only do that for so long because once that sun comes out, we all want to get back out. I want to go to a movie theater and I want to see a movie the way it's meant to be seen on a huge screen. I want the popcorn, the soda. I want the laughter of the community of the audience there with me, or the fear or the gasp. You know, imagine if we watched Titanic on a Zoom screen, like no, or on a 4x6 iPhone. No, you know, you have those films, and that's great that there's always going to be that, you know, option for filmmakers who want to create that. But, you know, I want to be out. I want to go to, I mean, I love when I go to Cannes, for instance, and I'm sitting in my booth and we just get, you know, walk-ins, a random filmmaker who, you know, put the effort to be out there, and they just said, oh, we saw the posters of your film and I have a script that looks similar to, you know, what you're doing. Yeah, you know what, let's sit down and talk. And we get to do that. That's never going to happen on a Zoom. The success of Zoom and all that, that's for people who are already established, and we have to all remember where our age and level of success is. But when you have those people who are just up and coming, I mean, Kelli, just think if you're feeling the angst of that loneliness, think of the younger person, which at a teenage, they can't wait to go to school to see the hot guy they have a crush on or the girl they want to ask out to prom. Like, they're suffering. We are already established. So I'm just thinking of those younger filmmakers that they're coming out and now they want to do something, and their whole life is now just this. And I understand that the newer generations are becoming more, you know, technical, more, you know, texting and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, people are texting to say, hey, let's meet up. You know, let's go sit there and improv and write a script and write a comedy, you know. So it, like I said, I never want to see Zoom again, but with you guys, I'll Zoom just for you.
Fair to say you don't want the Zooms to carry over.
But one thing I will say that I do want, one thing I will say, and it's not related to filmmaking. I am an absolute germaphobe. All through my pregnancy, I did not shake one hand. And I've always been wondering, why is society so dirty? Why don't we clean shopping carts at a supermarket? That's a place of my food. Why don't we, you know, spray the doorknobs with Lysol? I mean, we live longer and well because of our level of hygiene. And so why aren't we doing that automatically? And unfortunately, it took COVID for people to get to that point. I hope that stays for a long time. So the germaphobe is very okay with that.
I am so with you on that. And especially on set. Sets are like cesspools for germs. So I hope that stays too. Yeah. And the question I kind of want to leave off with, actually before then, Marl told me that Michelle and Micky, you guys are collaborating on something. For anyone that listened last time and got to know your guys' work, do you guys want to briefly just talk about what that project is and share that with us? I think it's so great that you met and are working together now. So
go ahead, Michelle. Michelle is fantastic. Anyone who gets to work with her is super, super lucky.
Oh, thank you, Micky. Same to you, both of you and Kelli. Kelli, she and I had a work call scheduled, and she witnessed. It was while my son was going through his class, his Zoom class, and she can hear it in the background. And I said, "Oh, unless you want to talk to me at 3 a.m., this is how it." And she's fantastic. She adjusted. She's like, "No, let you go back to your son." No, he's fine. He's
glad you were like, you had your hands so full, but thank you for taking
no, but that's how we're doing it right now. It's like I'm driving to he's at the tutor and I'm talking to Kelli and we're talking about her film, and so now going with Micky, which, thanks to Morel and Arpa, I met Micky as well. And so we ended up meeting for lunch one day. See, we can't do that with the Zoom, right? Meeting for lunch one day. And, she told me about her project. And so, it stayed in my head. I was very moved by it, especially because it was just something of personal interest to me. Not that's what it requires, for the filmmakers out there. It's not that, but I just liked it. So I remembered it really well. And it took about a year later where I met with an investor who, another woman who, she was actually coming to me for a film. And long story short, they committed to, over $1 million to Micky's film. And so I text Micky's main producer and I said, I found your 1.5 million. And so that film is still going forward very much. There's been a couple of, obstacles that are not COVID related, which will always happen. So speaking to you filmmakers, you will always have obstacles. You will always have things that come in the way. There will always be that third baseman who comes in and ruins the deal for everybody. And this is how I look at it. I come from a world of sales back in my day in the auto industry. And to sell one car, you had to get through 100 to 200 no's or objections. And so I'm just like, bring it on. I've made a living off of rejection. You guys want to mess with me? It's no problem. Hurry up and say no so I can get to the next no, so I can finally get to that yes. So I just tell the filmmakers out there, try not to get discouraged. You are already masochistic because you chose this industry. So make it fun and go through it, because I will tell you, for the films that I've produced, I have learned more than any USC film student on the 200 films that I tried to produce, and it didn't happen. I have learned more from doing extra work when I was younger on a film set than probably an actor who just got lucky and booked that job, because I sat there and I observed and I watched everything, and there was no pressure on me. There was no responsibility on me more than being an extra. And I learned so much that I apply still to this day. So I'm just saying, again, for those people who are making their first or second feature or documentary or, a series, just know that it's possible. And right now, this difficult COVID situation is more advantageous to you guys than I can say.
And on that point, what are, as a kind of lasting note to the people that are listening that are, up and coming or trying to break out or have done their first feature and are trying to work on the next one, what are some tools, especially now in the pandemic, so that are probably accessible online, where you would, guide young filmmakers, like whether it's festivals or, community-based places where you can connect and network? If there's any kind of internet resources like that each of you can share, I think as a lasting kind of note, that'd be great.
Well, if I can mention the ones that I have, because I made a little list here, but obviously IMDb is the easiest one to know. It does cost money now, a little bit more than it used to, but try to get on IMDb Pro because you can navigate and learn. There's also Stage 32, which is fantastic. They have script contests. They have a number. In fact, my partner and I were producing a film that won a script contest at Stage 32. there, and sign up for the online magazines in the industry, Deadline, Variety, the Hollywood Reporter. That's all free. So these are all free things that it keeps you informed of. You may not be working with Liam Neeson on his next action film, but it helps you learn the numbers and the temperature of what's going on and what type of films are being in demand. The other thing is film festival. There's Film Freeway, Without a Box. Know what film festivals are out there and participate in ways that you can, because a lot of them have programs that are for, like the Cannes Festival has the Producers Network, for example, and they make that very new filmmaker friendly. So I would just say participate and take advantage of those. And once the door opens, attend some of those. Don't break your bank, keep it low, but attend those when you can. And you're going to make connections that you would never imagine.
Great, thank you.
I'm to echo what Michelle said, definitely screenplay writing competitions and any kind of good labs or workshops where you get to develop. I really like San Francisco Film Society, Film Independent, Find. So I think those are really, really valuable resources. And the other thing that I'm a fan of that we can go back to doing once COVID is done with our screenplay readings, where it really doesn't cost a lot, and you can just invite a few people that may not be inclined to sit down and read your script, but maybe they'll like to come and hear it if you're also offering a little safe food that's and everything is very sterile. That for me, I've learned so much doing those. And the other thing is really about community. I think the best relationships that you can make are with your peers, which are people that are going through what you're going through, who are at your level, because you're all going to come up together. I really believe in supporting other people and helping their dreams. When you help someone else, you're helping yourself. When your friend is doing well, they're going to take you up with them. So I really think that reaching out to other people who need help can actually be a fantastic way to help yourself and make you feel good about yourself So yeah, just be cool, be a good person, and realize that everyone has their own journey. So don't compare yourself to other people.
Well said. And yeah, Kelly?
This may sound a little off the wall, but honestly, Twitter. When the WGA severed all of the agreements with the agencies last year, all of the writers and the showrunners and the producers, everybody mobilized on Twitter to help each other and to network. And to echo your point, Micky, you want to be with your peers. You listen to people who have made it. Follow them on Twitter. But there are pre-WGA networking groups. Like there are script swaps, there are databases, there are lists online. There are opportunities that I have been afforded and have found on Twitter just because I was looking and I was following the right people and paying attention. So that's such a great place to find connections and to meet with people. And don't do it in an obtrusive way. Like don't drop your script in their DMs. Like you'll take them blocked. Like just don't do that. But I found that to be like a much more agreeable platform for networking versus something like Instagram, because my husband's the photographer in the family. That's not my strong point. There are also some really great writers and filmmakers, producers groups that are on Facebook. So if you go to Facebook, you can, one is like the LATV Writers Facebook. And then there's a couple of other filmmaking ones. I know Screencraft has got a great, pool of people. But certainly, one of the things that you do have control over right now is how you spend your time. And you should be spending your time networking and learning, who to follow in the industry and who to reach out to. So take some time, build up. I'm not saying you need a ton of followers. I'm just saying you need to, social media is free and you can use that to your advantage right now.
Well said. That's really great advice. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Natalie, can I just mention one thing? Because I keep mentioning my accessibility. I just want to make sure people know how to find me, which is michellealexandria.com might be the easiest way. And so I just wanted to let you guys know that. So.
Beautiful. That's awesome. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
It's great hearing from you all. And
thank you.
I learned from you all. So thank you. Thank you for.
And Natalie, thank you for moderating and doing this. I read an amazing review about Run in the Hollywood Reporter, and I want to see that movie. I love mother-daughter movies. So yeah, I'm super excited to check it out. Congrats.
Oh, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Micky. I really appreciate that. And Mara, thank you for having me. This was so fun. I wish it could have been in person, which is very on brand and on theme. That's what we've been talking about. So we could have had some face-to-face, but I'm happy to connect either way with you guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Mara. Thank you, Michelle.
We are gonna have it next year live, and we have already made the arrangement with AMC Sunset 5. If COVID is gone and we're able to see each other, then we will definitely do that. I don't know if you guys remember 2 years ago when we first met, my goal was if only one woman was going to benefit from what we did 2 years ago, that would have already made me very happy. And I'm happy to say that just you among yourselves, you know, the fact that you became friends and you're helping each other and paying it forward. I just feel, you know, I feel very good about this whole thing. So thank you again for all of you. And especially Natalie, I think this was, you did an amazing job of moderating. So thank you again for everything you do for ARPA.
Thank you.
Ladies, so good to meet you all. And I'm going to be watching, you know, everyone as you guys continue to work, and let's all support each other. And I'll be in your guys' corner clapping. So
thank you, Natalie.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Yes, that's so sweet. Thank you, Morale.
Thank you.
All right, everyone.
Bye, ladies.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.